Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. I'm going to be explaining what's been happening recently with the silver prices and why. Also explaining where prices could be headed and why. It's extremely important to talk about this so we get educated and can look at the patterns, match it with the economy. I also have a video or an article sharing the charts, so combining all that we can get an accurate estimate or a guesstimate on where prices are headed. And it is a guesstimate because we don't have a crystal ball. Things change. We need to learn how to adapt and adjust with times because the markets aren't the same as they were once upon a time, especially living during this pandemic. So before we start, make sure to smash the like button. Let's see if the video can get 200 likes. Everyone like the video right now if you love precious metals. With that said, let's jump into it. So silver forecast, finding buyers again. Silver markets rallied a bit during the trading session on Monday to kick off the week, reaching towards the $17.95 level. The $18 level above is an area that will come into play, and it is a large, round, psychologically significant figure that will capture a lot of attention. Ultimately, I do think that the market is likely to see that happen, and then a push towards $18.50 level, perhaps even a run towards the $19 level, as it's a continuation of the bullish trend that we have seen for quite some time. If we were to break down from there, the $17 level is a massive support, and of course the 50-day EMA is closer to that area. So I think it's only a matter of time before the buyers would step in based upon that. Furthermore, if we drop below there at the $16 level, a lot of structural buying there. So I think that at a point, a lot of demand comes into play. The demand should continue to attract a lot of attention, and therefore value hunters will jump into the silver market. So they're talking about both sides of the coin, no pun intended. If silver starts to rise, it could break. The $18 is a huge resistance level. If it breaks above that, it's probably going to see towards $19 very quickly as it grabs a lot of attention. If it goes lower, it's still going to grab a lot of attention because then silver is extremely cheap. That's when a lot of the buyers come in. So do not forget, silver does have a bit of a precious metal attitude built in, as the US dollar has gotten crushed. Then again, central banks around the world continue to do everything they can to boost their support for local economies, thereby devaluing the idea of currency. When that happens, commodities tend to get a little bit of a boost, and it can even get more of a boost due to the fact that the trading community starts to look for safety in hard assets such as metals or oil. From a technical analysis perspective, this is still very bullish. It's still a very bullish market, and I do think that we will make another run towards the $19 level. It may be more of a grind than anything else. Looking at the pullbacks continues to be the best way to pick up a bit of value, as the silver markets have gotten a bit stretched. Longer term, it is only a matter of time before we break out to the upside, but that could be weeks, if not months. With that, I am building up a larger position based on small bits and pieces along the way. This is not until we break down below the $15 level that I'd be concerned from a longer term trend perspective, and that's definitely true. You got to look at the bigger picture, and it definitely requires patience. A lot of people, I don't think, are patient enough, and they have unrealistic expectations on precious metals, and they don't really understand the markets. They're not supposed to be a quick flip. You're not supposed to make your money back within a year. It's a hedge against inflation. It's a preservation of your wealth. I'm not planning on selling for another 15, 20 years. I'm only 27 years old, so I still have a far time ahead of me before I even think about selling. And that by that time, silver's price could be extremely different than it is today. The markets are going to be extremely different. The economy is going to be extremely different. So you got to understand that if you're only in it for a couple of years, you're probably not going to make anything if you break even, unless you're flipping coins, finding coins, numismatic coins and flipping them. Then you could make some money in a couple of years. But without that, if you're buying bullion, you're pegged to spot price, and spot price isn't going to move too much with a couple of year time span. So you got to understand why you're stacking, why you're investing, and what your goals are. So anyways, that jumps into the next article talking about repeating history. Is the silver price about to break out? So history tells us that silver, while not as universally loved by investors as gold, has the ability to outperform its precious metal rival. Based on historical silver data, there has only ever been 2 occasions when the silver price has run hard and both times followed recessions. The first time the price went from sub $5, $7.15 an ounce during the 1970s, the recession, to almost $50 an ounce in the early 80s. It went from $5 to $50. The second time, following the GFC, silver again ran hard from below $10 an ounce to over $45 an ounce in 2011. So you see the patterns there, and it's looking like times are looking very similar to both of these, the credit crisis that led to $50 silver. But there's another player in the game right now. There's this pandemic on our hands. So back in the day, we spent $530 billion on stimulus packages, and now we spent $3 trillion, 5 times more than what was pumped into the economy back in 2008 through 2011, which shows that times are more severe, more drastic, and that also could require more severe, more drastic prices. These short-term percentage gains at the time far exceeded gold's gains during the same time frames. For example, following the 1970s recession, gold advanced roughly 300% to silver's 900% in US dollar terms. The silver price typically follows the gold price, but it takes some time for it to wake up. And that's definitely true. Silver's gold's little brother. Silver usually follows within the next couple weeks or couple months. It's more volatile, so it hits higher highs and goes to lower lows. So while gold has been running for a while now, it looks as if silver has just started to emerge from its slumber. And that's where people lose faith in silver, is when is that limbo stage. And that's where you got to remember that's an opportunity. Instead of looking at the glass half empty, you got to look at it as being half full. And that's only opportunity to buy silver for cheaper one last time before the price rises again. So in the past month, it's advanced nearly 15% to just under $18 an ounce. I really think gold is the bellwether. Silver is not the poor second cousin, but it's still a long way behind gold as a favored metal. And that's interesting because gold doesn't do much that silver can. It's not more rare, really. It's just seen, it's just thought of, quote unquote, thought of as a royal metal, where silver's a poor man's gold. And it doesn't make sense because it comes out of the ground roughly 8-1. And actually, I could go into explain why it's lower than that. I'm not going to. That's a different video. But, silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity. It performs just as, if not better than gold. So the only reason silver is so undervalued compared to gold is in the 30s, FDR changed the gold to silver ratio from 16-1 to 75-1. If that wouldn't have happened, silver would still be sitting near gold's price. So anyways, gold is sort of like a lead indicator. Whatever is driving gold, market conditions, whether it's risk on or risk off effort sort of a market scenario, if there's a positive market situation for gold, gold is a commodity that moves first, which is true. Investors then start to look at the silver price, and what you tend to see is that gold to silver ratio opening up, and everyone starts looking at the silver price and wondering when silver will start to move. But it's gold's fundamental initial movement that is ultimately is the catalyst for silver's price. The gold to silver ratio is the number of ounces it takes to buy 1 ounce of gold. Any widening in the ratio above the long-term average of 63 is generally taken as a cue to buy silver as it begins to look cheap in relative terms against gold. And the gold to silver ratio recently peaked at 123. So when volatility is your friend, silver is a whole lot more volatile than gold, but not all volatility is bad. And that's kind of what I was explaining. It can be good or bad. The price of silver quadrupled during the 2008 through 2011 period. It dwarfed the increase in the gold price. So that's the leverage game that makes silver more volatile than gold as well. Volatility works two ways. It can be your friend, or it can work against you. And that's the nature of the silver market. It's hugely volatile. It can move very, very quickly in one direction or another. Like I said, extreme highs or extreme lows. So believes that there's potential for silver to repeat its past successes. There are a number of factors that could suggest that history can repeat itself, and we might see a repeat of that 2008 to 2011 price action where the price of silver quadrupled in the space of a few years, he said. Maybe even this time around, given there's a hell of a lot more monetary stimulus, like I explained earlier, 5 times more to $3 trillion this time stimulus being thrown out the world economy than there was back in 2008, there might be even more potential for greater gains. That's a scenario we're currently looking at. So that's kind of what I was explaining. I just kind of summarized it before they dove into that, but we've talked about that on the channel before, so it's nothing new. It's just really showing how much potential silver has. So if you did enjoy this video, the link to this article from Stockhead will be in the description if you want to do your homeworks. There's some side articles you can check out, and there's some other stuff to look at as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you thought it was educational, informational, or at least just entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. We have a 200 like goal on this video. Everyone, please like the video. It's the best way to support the channel, as well as subscribing. So I'm going to wrap this video up here. Also, check out the video I posted earlier today. You do not want to miss that one. It's talking about why silver is explosive and where prices could be headed in the future. So thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.